Hey guys, this is a tag video, and I was tagged from Bam It's Rosie, and the tag is, if you can't read up above, it is the breakup tag. Breakup story tag, whatever. You just tell a story of your breakups, and I have two major ones that I'm probably going to tell you guys, and that's probably it. I mean, I've dated people. I'm not going to sit here and say that I've only dated like one or two people, because I haven't. But my first like real relationships probably didn't start until I was about 16, and I'm 22, so yeah. Let's see. My first really bad breakup, I was with this guy for 2.5 years actually, and I knew him when I was a kid because I'm from Indiana. I was born in Indiana. And when I was probably 6 or 7, I moved to Georgia, where I lived for 12.5 years. But anyway, my parents were really good friends with his parents, so that's how we met when we were little kids, and we had a huge crush on each other. And when I turned 16, we got back in touch with each other, and we ended up dating. He lived in Indiana, and I lived in Georgia, and we dated, you know, long distance-ly for probably 6 months, and then he finally come and visited me. And we got more serious, I guess you could say, and he ended up moving to Georgia and living with me and my parents, which, you know, I know that's crazy to think that my parents let their daughter's 16-year-old boyfriend live with them, but they did. My parents are very lenient. I don't know, it was dumb and I wish they wouldn't have, but, you know, whatever. Everything happens for a reason. My parents did not really particularly care for him that much, and I really got sick of hearing that from them because I thought that I wanted to be with him for the rest of my life, you know. We had already been together for a year and a half, well, 2 years. So we decided one night that we were going to pack up all of our stuff and move to Indiana and live with his parents. That was probably the worst mistake I've ever made in my life. I was probably only there a month and the abuse started. Didn't know that it was coming. He'd never shown any kind of physical or verbally abuse when I lived with my parents, but when I moved to Indiana with him and he had complete control over me, the abuse started, and that's what I put up with for probably 6+ months. And finally, the last straw broke. I was bleeding down my arm, and he couldn't care less. I mean, he'd done so much worse things to me, but for some reason that day I just had enough. I have a scar on my elbow right there. You can't really see it that well, but he threw a phone at me and it hit me in the elbow, and I was bleeding all down my arm. And I called my parents and I told them. My dad was pissed, my mom was pissed, and my dad called a friend that he still knew in Indiana, and he come and got me. And that day I left. I got out of an abusive relationship that I was struggling with for 6.5 months. It's probably the hardest time of my life. It was probably the worst thing that I've ever been through in my life, and it was a huge learning experience. You know, I didn't deserve that. I deserved so much better than that, but I didn't know. You know, I thought I loved him. I thought that that's who I was going to be with, and thank God I got out of it. Thank God that day something went off in my head and I realized, you know, I'm in this relationship where this person is abusing me. And I'm done. And that's that. So that's the end of that. I was in an abusive relationship for a little over a year, and it's made me a stronger person. So it was a learning experience, and everything happens for a reason. I always ask myself, why me? But like I said, everything happens for a reason. Change the subject, because I don't really want to talk about this because it still upsets me today that I actually went through that, and you know, I don't tell very many people, and I figured in this video that I'd let you guys into my life a little bit more. So my next breakup would be with the guy that I dated right after this person that I was in a relationship with for 2.5 years, which is the stupidest thing I've ever done, other than date the guy before that. But he was a friend of my dad's. He worked with my dad, And my dad said, oh, he's a nice guy, you know, go out with him. I was like, okay, whatever. So we went out. He ended up, you know, really liking me and would not stop, you know, asking me to go out with him again. So I just was like, whatever, you know. And then we ended up going out, and we were together for almost 7 months. Seemed like a very, I mean, it doesn't seem like a long time, but it was for some reason. It's like, I was happy for a little bit, but then, I don't know. He wasn't who I wanted to be with, I guess you could say, you know. I kind of did it for all the wrong reasons. I did it because I didn't want to be alone. You know, I had just gotten out of that bad, abusive relationship with that other guy, and I shouldn't have jumped into another relationship again. It was like right after I got home. It's probably 2 months after I got home. And it wasn't good, you know, and I didn't know who I was anymore, you know, as a person. Because after being in that abusive relationship, I had to find myself again. And then I jumped into this other relationship with this person, and it was a stupid idea. And, I don't like when my hair does that. I cheated on him. I did. And it wasn't a good thing to do. And I don't feel proud of myself for doing that. But I did. I cheated on him, and, I felt really guilty, and then all of a sudden I realized, oh, I really like this person. I think I'm going to try to stay with them. And then I become very smothering in the relationship, and then he broke up with me. And it broke my heart. It did. I was going through some bad stuff in my life at home at that time, and he broke up with me, and I had no one. You know, my best friend, my supposable best friend that I've been friends with for 12 plus years, she wasn't there for me, and she could have been, she just chose not to be. She was up her ass with her other boyfriend, her boyfriend at the time, so God, I hope she doesn't watch this video because she's going to hate me for this, but, you know, and she knows that she wasn't there for me, you know, and we've gotten past that, but that sucked. But it was a bad time for him to break up with me, and he did, and it broke my heart, and I thought I loved him, and, you know, I really didn't. Now here I am today. I'm married to the love of my life. I love my husband to death, and me and my husband met online. Me and my husband met on MySpace. I found him on MySpace, and I wrote him, and that's history. That's pretty much it, you know. We started talking and really ended up liking each other and decided that we were going to go on a date. And it's crazy because he's from Florida and I'm from Georgia. At least I lived there for 12 plus years. Okay, he's from Florida. That's where he lived all of his life. Well, we both ended up in Texas because my dad got a job in Texas. He was going through some bad stuff in his life in Florida, so he moved to Texas with his best friend. Well, one of his really good friends, maybe not his best friend. And that's how we met. It's just amazing. And that's it, you know. I fell in love with him right away. We got really serious really fast, but it was real. It was for once I honestly knew that what I was doing was right. And I don't regret anything. And he's the greatest person I've ever been with. He appreciates me. He loves me unconditionally. And I couldn't have picked a better person to be with. And he's the father of my son, you know? I mean, I love him to death. And I'm thankful that I went through all that crap with those other crappy guys, because I found him. But that was my breakup stories, you guys, and I hope that you enjoyed watching this. And I know it was a little bit long, but, you know, I really, really wanted to do this because I thought that it would be fun. But yeah, you guys, thanks for watching, and don't forget that beauty is only Irish deep. Bye, guys.